Let's talk a little bit, Lewis, if I may, about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. One of the most popular talking points on the anti-Israeli side is the Palestinians want peace, the Israelis don't want peace. And with every passing month, we get more information telling us that this tired old talking point really is not true. Now, usually it's related to Hamas. We know that Hamas is a terrorist organization. We know that Hamas absolutely does not want peace. But there's often the idea that the Palestinian Authority, led by Mahmoud Abbas, that is in control of the West Bank, does want peace. Well, we now have, for the first time, and this may have slipped past you because maybe you don't get this type of news from the media outlets you frequent, for example. I don't know why, but the Palestinian Authority president, Mahmoud Abbas, has publicly confirmed for the first time that he indeed turned down a peace offer back in 2008, which would have provided for an independent Palestinian state. That state would have contained the Gaza Strip, all of it, and much of the West Bank, with the exception of some land swaps, and I'll talk about that in a second, and a tunnel connecting the two areas. And Mahmoud Abbas made these comments in an interview on Israel's Channel 10 recently, which has been broadcasting a pretty good three-part series on the peace talks of 2000 and 2008. And according to both Mahmoud Abbas and Ehud Olmert, Israel's prime minister at the time of these negotiations in 2008, Olmert presented Abbas in September of that year with a map that delineated the borders of the future state of Palestine, and Abbas admits that he rejected it out of hand because he claimed not to be an expert on maps and because Olmert's domestic scandals meant he would shortly leave office and make it unclear whether it would have been a deal that could ultimately happen or not. So Olmert and other Palestinian leaders have previously said that Abbas turned down a peace proposal, but we never had specific confirmation from the Palestinian Authority. This, to me, is very, very important, Lewis. It's particularly important because this is a deal that would have met many of the key requirements to what I see as a reasonable peace deal. Number one, of course, there has to be a truly independent country politically. Palestine has to be an independent country. The land swaps to make up for areas that are Israeli settlements that can't be realistically broken down, this is absolutely necessary. There are just some pieces of the West Bank that, unfortunately, and I'm against the settlements, are now so settled by Israelis that you are not going to reasonably be able to break those down in a peace agreement. So land swaps are going to need to happen, meaningful land swaps, and Yasser Arafat was okay with this back when he was alive and involved in peace negotiations. And the other key is some kind of continuity or contiguity between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and the tunnel between the two areas that was part of this proposal would certainly be a part of that. So the talking point that Palestinians want peace and Israelis don't is nonsense. There are individuals on both sides who have an interest in maintaining a state of war. And of course, there are individuals on both sides that want peace, but we've got to do away with this talking point, Lewis, that Israel's the bad guy who doesn't want peace. Netanyahu may not benefit from peace. Netanyahu specifically may not have much of an impetus to do a very good peace agreement at this point, but we've got to stop with those talking points that are getting us nowhere.
Yeah, we can do without Netanyahu. We can also do without Hamas. That's going to be probably a bit more difficult to achieve on the Palestinian side.
Yes.
Ultimately, Netanyahu will no longer be in politics, but Hamas may be here for quite some time.